Hello folks, today we're going to be teaching you how to do the 50s out of your unit pack. We're going to teach you the very last set of compounds to name, which are called covalent compounds. Ionic compounds were mostly a metal with a non-metal making ions, and then you would have an ionic bond between them. But what makes these different is that covalent compounds are a non-metal with another non-metal. In this particular kind of compound, they share electrons. In an ionic compound, one gives them up, and the other one takes them on. So we have some rules on the 50s for naming these compounds. The first thing you need to know is that both elements are nonmetals. That's kind of a main thing with this type of compound. And then number 2 right here, it says since these compounds are covalent rather than ionic, charges are not indicated or even considered. This next part, subscripts are going to be converted to Greek prefixes. Well, on the back of your periodic table, that's this part right here. On the back of your periodic table, we teach you the Greek numbers that you need to use. So we'll be using those as we go along. The rest of these are instructions that you can follow, but I'm just going to use them as we go through the next set of steps. So as we go through these problems, pause it, try it, pause it, try it. That way you are actually trying the material rather than just writing down notes. So in this very first problem, CO2, we write out carbon. There is one carbon, but we never put mono on the very first element. Then we state how many of the second element we have. We have di, or 2 of the second element. So that's di, and then it's the element oxygen, and we call that oxide. Carbon dioxide. We'll try the very next one, right next to it, CO. That would be carbon. And there's one oxygen, so this would be monoxide. We don't want to put 2 O's in there and call it monoxide. You want to call it monoxide. Again, mono is never used on the first element, but it can be used on the second element. Pause the video and try this problem next. This is silicon. And there's only one silicon, but we never put mono on the first element. And we have 4, which is tetrachlorine. So it's tetrachloride. Let's try this one next. Pause the video and try that problem. This is 2 nitrogen, so we go di-nitrogen. And there's 1 oxygen, so we call it monoxide. Again, no need for double O's there, calling it monoxide. Monoxide sounds better. Pause the video and try N5Br3. Here we have 5 nitrogens, so that's penta. It's nitrogen, so I call it pentanitrogen. There's 3 bromides, tri, and then it's bromide. Pause the video and try SF6 next. Here we have 1 sulfur. Sulfur. We have 6 fluorines. 6 is hexa. Fluoride. Pause the video and try Ni3. Ni3 is nitrogen, tri-iodide. We do have 2 I's there, otherwise it would be triiodide. Triiodide rolls off the tongue a little bit easier. So then we have problems 1 through 6 as well. I'll run through those, stop the video, try them, stop the video, try them, and keep repeating. So on this top one, we have iodine. We never put mono on the first one. And we have one bromine, so that's monobromide. If we go to number 2, we have 2 nitrogens. That would be dinitrogen, trioxide. Again, please pause the video and try each of these rather than just copying them down. In number 3, disulfide, mono for 1, oxide, monoxide. Number 4, we have 1 silicon, but we don't put mono on the first element, so that would be silicon tetra for 4, bromide. Bromide. Number 5, we have 2 hydrogens, dihydrogen. And then 2 sulfurs, disulfide. And number 6, sulfur pentafluoride. In 7 through 10, we want you to put numbers in these blanks and then come up with the names for those compounds. Number 11, what is an ionic compound? Well, it's a metal and a nonmetal. Or it's a metal and a polyatomic ion. Or it's when an ion is attached to another ion or attracted to another ion. That's what an ionic compound is. Ions reacting with ions. An ionic compound, a metal and a nonmetal. Our table salt. Covalent compounds share electrons. Okay, they share electrons. Or it would be a nonmetal and another nonmetal. An example, carbon, which is a nonmetal, and oxygen, which is a nonmetal. Or nitrogen, which is a nonmetal, and oxygen, which is a nonmetal. The 55s are your homework. That will have all of the cases, and you'll have to figure out which case to use in each instance. Hope that helped.